Hey, how's it going? My name is
Hey,
Chris,
what's going on? My name is Ian,
and this is
and
the
you're
Two
listening to the
Dudes
Two
One Up.
Dudes Gaming Podcast. We're almost at that point where we can finish each other's
It's
sandwiches,
great.
but we're not there
Wow,
yet.
can I fit? You can finish my sandwich? That's incredible.
We're almost there. Oh man, how are you doing this week, Chris?
I'm doing okay. I'm on vacation this week, so I'm doing great. I'm kind of lethargic. I slept so much this past weekend. I was like, I'm on vacation. I'm just gonna sleep all the time, and I slept all the time. And now my body's like, wait, we're not sleeping more. I want to sleep more, and I'm like, no, I gotta be awake. So here we are. So today I did three important things. I did the dishes, I did my laundry, and I prepared for this podcast. And that was my day.
Hey, that's
How was your day?
That's a big day. Oh man, I adulted so hard today.
Yeah.
I start my day started at 8 a.m. and then finished like maybe 15, 20 minutes before this podcast
Yeah, you were packing,
went
right?
live. So yeah, I was packing. I'm headed up to Boston for a week for work tomorrow. I had to get my tire changed because I blew my tire out like 2 weeks ago, but I haven't been around to get it fixed. I met with my personal trainer for the first time because I'm going to lose some weight over the next 6 months. So it got my hair cut today, a whole bunch of different stuff. Did some laundry, did the dishes, cleaned the cat litter. Just the regular everyday stuff on top of it. So it's been a pretty hectic day for me today, and I'm a little unprepared for today. So I apologize to everybody that is watching. I will try to keep up as best as I can. On that note, you want to talk about the games that are coming out this week?
Yeah. So coming up, there is tomorrow. There's a game coming out called Vampyr or Vampire, depending on how you want to say it. Um, Give me 1 second here. I'm checking something sort of important.
So, from what I understand about this game, Vampire, it's about saving souls and not sacrificing them for the most part.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Thank you. We're good. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's so that you play as a doctor, right? And I guess he comes back. I don't know like too much about it. I watched the story trailer and I thought it was kind of interesting. And so I guess it's about like he takes the idea of being a vampire and tries to switch it around to serve humanity in some way. From what I gather, it takes place during a time period where there's a lot of plague and disease going on, and I guess I don't know. I'm guessing that he's trying to clean up like people who are either like spreading the plague or who are like really sick. I don't exactly know, super much about it, but it seems really interesting. We have a trailer if you're interested in checking that out.
I would love to watch the trailer. I have not seen this yet.
Sweet. Well, let's give it the old 1-2 right here. So there's that.
Yeah.
Which looks really interesting, right? It looks like it's going to be this heavily story focused game, and I believe it's been classified as like an action RPG.
Okay. So it's kind of like a Mass Effect esque
Maybe,
kind of game.
yeah.
You think?
The little bit of gameplay I've seen of it looks like it's third person. It should be interesting.
Okay.
And this is coming out tomorrow, and it will be available on all of the cool places except for Switch. I'm sorry. So PS4, Xbox One, PC. Even though the trailer only said PS4, for whatever reason, all of the places. I think I saw a werewolf in there at some point. So maybe there's a little bit of like vampires versus werewolves going on.
Well, it looks like it looked like it's based in London
Yeah.
around World War One. So the idea of vampires and werewolves would not be unheard of during
Sure.
that period of time. So, that'll be interesting to see. That comes out. You said for everything but the Switch tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. It'll probably get a Switch release sometime down the line. But
Maybe.
the game I'm really excited for tomorrow is so back in my youth,
I think I know where this is going.
there was a legend of a man, a massive human being,
Was he
7
tall?
feet tall. He was very tall,
Damn.
300 some pounds, played for the NBA team, the Orlando Magic. And his name is Shaquille O'Neal.
What a guy.
Now that man has transcended sports and entertainment. He has done movies like Kazam and Steel. He has put out rap albums. He's done some work with the band 311. And he has made his way into video games over the course of the year. Over the years. But coming out tomorrow, a brand new chapter in the Shaquille O'Neal series, and that is Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn. Now, Shaq Fu is a game that has been out before.
Yeah.
Now, the Shaq Fu is this is not the first of the Shaq Fu line.
No. Oh no.
So, Shaq Fu was a game that came out for the Genesis back in, I think, like the early '90s. I can't put an exact date, but I remember playing this on Genesis. Somewhere around there. I was pretty young, but I'm excited.
94, October 28th, 1994.
Yeah. So we're getting the side-scrolling, kung fu a la Double Dragon type game with Shaq coming out, and not only is this game being released, because I think that's an amazing thing all on its own. Are you familiar with the DLC that is coming out for this game?
No.
The first the first DLC pack is called Barack Fu, where an additional story appears to star Barack Obama.
Fantastic. Who's Obama fighting?
Kanye West. So.
Okay.
It is, yeah. So they can't call it Barack Obama, obviously. So the character's name is Dirty Barry. So we all kind of know along the lines of what that's going to go. And then Kanye, I believe, is called Kanye with Conye. So, so I think that's going to be pretty amazing. Who knows if this will be as critically acclaimed as the previous Shaq Fu, which will always be held in my heart. And I'm actually going to, and I didn't even think about
fond memories of a bad game.
Yeah, I am. It's being added to a list.
I know this list. Oh yeah.
But it's coming out tomorrow for everything: PS4, Xbox One, PC. It's coming out for the Switch.
Yep.
It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And, I can't wait to button mash with Shaq once more.
Sweet. Have you heard the rumors about Elder Scrolls 6?
You mean Elder Scrolls Skyrim Part 2?
As all the tweens are calling it, Skyrim 2. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a different Elder Scrolls thing, and the reason that Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to be happening in any kind of near future, Elder Scrolls Online. People keep saying, where's my ES6? And I would love ES6, but it's not going to...
Before we continue...
Yeah.
I saw the greatest meme today revolving around Skyrim.
Yeah?
And I have to get this in before we actually continue talking about this thing.
Was it the post I made in Discord?
Was it the post I made in Discord? I don't know which post you were talking about. No, it is not that post.
Darn. All right, go ahead.
It is. So we all know about Bethesda getting ready to talk about Fallout 76, right? At E3.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So Fallout 76 is going to start with you, making your way to Fallout 76 and going in there, and you're going to find out that they're doing tests on subjects, and you're going to become one of these subjects that they're doing tests on, and they're going to strap you down into the chair, and then all of a sudden you're going to be put in front of a computer, and the first thing you're going to see are your hands chained together inside of a cart. Boom, Elder Scrolls Skyrim released for Fallout. It's Fallout 70. The meme is that Fallout 76 is just another vessel to play Skyrim on. And it was pretty amazing. I'll find it again and I'll pop it into the Discord, because when I saw it, it was absolutely incredible.
That sounds good. I'll check
But
that out
anyway,
later.
that's
But
tangent is done.
yeah, moving back into the main point here. So anyway, Elder Scrolls Online, a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. I am like right in the middle. I think it's interesting, but it's not interesting enough for me to play. But I really like the lore of Elder Scrolls, and one of the things that Elder Scrolls Online has been doing exceptionally well is delving into that lore and really just providing crap tons more content for people who are interested in it. And tomorrow, Summerset, which has been available on the PC now for a little while, but the expansion called Summerset will be available for the PS4 and Xbox One. And we have a trailer of it, and I gotta tell you, having not personally actually played Summerset, I did play the Morrowind expansion, which I thought was pretty good. But I have not played Summerset, and, well, we got a trailer for you.
Okay.
All right. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So I have a couple of friends that actually play. They may absolutely. I haven't had the chance to get in. I just can't get into another MMO time to dedicate to it right now.
Yeah.
But everyone, the people that I do know who have played it said it's been enjoyable. And that there's been a good amount of humor behind it actually.
Okay.
So yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting about it. And so that if you're into Elder Scrolls and you play online, I think this is pretty much like a must-have expansion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, to my understanding, all of the expansions for Elder Scrolls Online have been very lore intensive and just really interesting and just been generally good fun to play. I mean, it's an MMO, so you shouldn't really expect your traditional Elder Scrolls experience. It is what it is. I don't exactly know how to describe it aside from it's not quite Elder Scrolls, but it does take place in the universe of Elder Scrolls, and it has a lot of the kind of tropes to it, which is good. They tried to keep a lot of the go here and you can something interesting to just go explore and be distracted, and the main quest is very much not like shoved in your face. If you want to pursue that quest, you can go do it, or you can just go do some other quests, the same way that other Elder Scrolls games are. But in terms of like its mechanics and finding loot and being an RPG and that kind of thing, it's very much an MMO. And so it's built with parties and teams of people in mind, which just change the dynamics of how the game plays. But I mean, if you're into MMOs or if you're just kind of into Elder Scrolls, as far as I know, you can play the full campaigns solo. You don't need other people, which is really nice to be able to do that. As I understand as well, I've played a little bit of ESO. I know that the encounters are all scaled to your level. So no matter what level you are, you can go anywhere and you'll be able to make it through okay, which is cool. Like you can just pick up the game, start at level 1, pick up Summerset, just go play Summerset, and you'll be all right.
Just go at it,
yeah, which is pretty cool. Oh, well, aside from that, are you a fan, Ian, of Warhammer?
So I am a giant Warhammer fan, but I'm a tabletop Warhammer guy. I have not had. It's been on my list of things to do is to play like Warhammer 40K on PC, and go at it there. But I just haven't gotten around to dropping the money for it. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of Warhammer games out there. They're all in that $50 to $60 mark range. So, and which only speaks volumes to how great the series is. That they never go on sale. Very rarely do any of them go on sale.
Yeah.
So, so they're obviously doing something right. How about you? Are you a big Warhammer guy?
I know more about Warhammer Fantasy than I know about Warhammer 40K, which again puts me very much into the realm of tabletop stuff. But I enjoy some 40K. When I get my hands on it, I have tried to play the tabletop of 40K, to be clear, I don't mean tabletop as in a lot of figures. I mean the more D&D style tabletop, the pen and paper style tabletop of Dark Heresy, and that was interesting to play. But I don't know enough about like the lore and the universe to really get into it. But one game I did enjoy was Warhammer 40K Space Marine, which was a third-person shoot 'em up. Just a lot of gory fun.
Super popular.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think that was one of the more popular ones of the series.
Yeah, yeah, it's on PC. Yeah, and anyway, so there's a new Warhammer 40k game coming out for PC, um, and it might be for another couple of. Actually, I didn't note down what it's coming out for. I know it will be for PC at the least. It's called Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr, um,
Yeah.
and this is a top-down action RPG. Um,
Yes.
So I've got a cinematic trailer, so there's no actual gameplay in it, but it focuses a bit on the story and what the setting is and everything. So I thought we'd give this a go. It's not a long one; it's a short one, just to kind of give you a little taste of it. But we'll go ahead and give you a look here. So there's ye olde cinematic trailer.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sets the stage a little bit. It's you got your main character. He's gonna go and check out all of the like old bastions of the empire that are kind of no longer within the reach of the main. I don't know if I want to call them the good guys, but like the empire itself has stuff outside of the borders that no longer it encompasses has been taken back by the orcs and the raiders and whatnot, and this guy's going out there to try to single-handedly reclaim all of those areas. So sort of a
Yeah.
it's a lot of what Warhammer 40k is all about, really. It appeals to the just like gritty, shoot 'em up, get a lot of blood, kind of just which
Yeah.
I mean that kind of thing can be really fun, every once in a while. And I think the developers who release Warhammer games I think they have a good grasp on just how often people want to play something like that, where it's just no thought, just kill stuff, and there's lots of blood. And I think it's been a sufficient amount of time since Space Marine that we can do with another one of these. So I think it's a good move.
Well, when you're talking about the developer, one of the too is keeping up with their community.
You're
They
cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Not
Let me
what
get
it
a
was
little bit
before.
closer.
Just just get closer.
Right. Just get a little bit closer. I'm leaning far back. But yeah, if you're interested, like the developers for this game and the total what am I saying? The Warhammer 40k series, they're pretty transparent with their player base. They're really good about keeping lines of communication open. They actually did an AMA today for this game before the official release tomorrow. I knew you were confused. Yeah, I knew you were a little confused about the PC version of this game. This game has been in early access since August of last year.
Okay.
So people have been playing it. They've been testing the servers out. They've been doing all that kind of stuff. They've been getting feedback from the community, and tomorrow's the official release date. So it's I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that maybe I can get some time to play it. I doubt it. I just don't have time to sit down and play it. It kind of has a Diablo-esque kind of feel to me. For me,
Sure.
even though
Yeah,
it's more of a strategy game, it's more of a strategy game to it. It definitely has that whole like Diablo grinding for gears. They're going to do seasons this time where you can max out your characters, and then and then the next season will come along and you'll get some character progression and all that kind of stuff too.
Okay.
So yeah, so if you're into Diablo and you love Warhammer, this is going to be a game that you're going to want to pick up most likely.
Sweet. Then I'll probably check it out because I like Diablo and I like Warhammer, so
There you go.
we'll see where it goes.
This is probably right up your alley.
Yeah.
Now not tomorrow, but Wednesday.
Yeah.
Xbox One is going to get their copy of Bloodstained Curse of the Moon to come out.
Some sweet
They're the
Castlevania
last
style
ones, I
action.
believe. Yeah, they're the last one out of everybody to get it. There was just a small delay, and now it's going to be available come Wednesday. So I know we've talked about this before, and so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But if you haven't heard about this game at all yet, check it out. It looks pretty awesome. If you're into Castlevania, boom, this is for you.
And then the last thing is on Thursday, June 7th. The Banner Saga 2 will become available on Switch. It's also worth noting that at this very moment, if you have Twitch Prime, both Banner Sagas are available to you for free right now. So
that's cool. I know I played the first one, and I kind of liked it. I don't remember it too well, but I know I played through the first one.
Okay.
I thought the animation style was super cool. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those games that looked really interesting, but I
yeah,
never got to play it myself, so just kind of
yeah.
one of those things that slipped through the cracks. But let me
Yeah,
ask you a question.
free is free.
Free is free. What have you been playing recently? Let me not lean back.
This week has been the week of the Switch. I was gone for work, so I didn't have my PC with me to play. I wanted to get some randomizer runs in this week. I wanted to start playing Curse of the Moon because I have it downloaded currently on my PC. But nope, continuing on in my adventures with Mega Man, trying to get through the first 6 Mega Man games with the Mega Man Collection Volume 1. I'm on 3 right now. I beat 2 on the way home the other day. The Mario Tennis Aces online tournament was this weekend. So they did a demo for people who were interested in trying Mario Tennis out. So I downloaded it, got some games in. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be. I mean, it's a Super Mario game. Nintendo's making another Super Mario game. They can't mess. It's almost impossible to mess up. And it's a tennis game. It's a lot of fun. I did not try playing with the Joy-Cons off. I just kind of held it as a standalone, gaming console.
Yeah.
But apparently you'll be able to take the Joy-Cons off and play with swing your control, your stuff around.
Oh, cool.
So I don't remember the release date on Mario Tennis Aces. I know it's coming up soon. I'll just take a quick look. I think it's late June into July. Release date is June 22nd. So just a couple of weeks from now. Yeah. And it's got the Mario Kart feel to it, but for a tennis game. So it's got all of your favorite characters in it, plus a new one that that's never been seen before, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, there's that too. And then I also started playing Pokemon Quest, which I don't know if you've heard about this game.
I've heard of it. It's like it's in a block world, and I know it's free.
Yeah, it's a free to play game, and it kind of reminds me of Minecraft. You kind of do expeditions on this big map, and your characters kind of run around and find Pokemon. You fight them, you get items for fighting the Pokemon, and then you gain more Pokemon by cooking meals in your base camp. So the goal is to get the items that you need to cook a meal that would attract a psychic type Pokemon or attract the fire type Pokemon, and that's how you build your stable up. Okay. So it's for a free to play game, it's cute. There are in-game transactions that you can do to kind of speed things up. They kind of hit you with that whole like you can only get X amount of Pokemon in X amount of time frame, or you can only do X amount of things. Like you have a battery, and then everything that you do kind of takes away from the charge of the battery. So you got to let your battery recharge. Okay. And that just takes physical time unless you pay for something that boosts it. So I mean, there is that element to it, which I'm not super, super keen on. But for a free to play game, it's adorable. It's cute. The Pokemon in block form are absolutely gorgeous. I didn't think they'd be able to do a good job with it, but they, it's a Pokemon game for the Switch. It's going to tide me over until the big game gets released, which I hope we hear more about at E3 coming up. But
yeah, and honestly, the next real Pokemon game that comes out, I wonder if they're going to do it on the 3DS or if they're going to move it to the Switch. Because, I mean, really,
it's going to be a Switch. They've already...
Have they already said it's officially a Switch game? Okay.
Yeah, they've already released whatever. What do I talk about? It leaked the other day. I don't know why we have this is something we definitely have to talk about. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. That was announced. The trailer was leaked the other day.
Let's Go Pikachu. Like Hey You Pikachu from the 64?
No, I actually posted the trailer up for this in the Discord the other day.
Really?
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, could you pull it up? It's pretty sweet.
If I click on it, your face is going to go away.
Oh, fair enough. Understood. Let me find a link for you. And I will give you the YouTube link.
Yeah, link it to me and we will play this trailer off of the hot fly here. Because I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about. Okay. I'm just gonna play this. I don't know what we're getting into. Here we go. Interesting.
Tell me that's not the dopest thing. that you've ever seen.
It's not the dopest
Like,
thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it is.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm coming in with a shotgun to this thing. This looks like it's a combination of Pokemon Go that they're putting on the Switch, and like I get the Game Freak made it, but there's just not enough information in this trailer. This looks like it's mostly gimmick and not enough actual game. Like, is this an RPG really? Like, you have multiple people, you play with one or two people co-op, which looks kind of interesting, but like, is there an actual game to it, or is this mostly gimmick? Like, I'm not convinced. I don't believe.
Hey, well, we'll probably hear more about it at E3. You know,
yeah, I just want more information.
For a teaser trailer, I'm pretty stoked about it. It just the way that they're integrating all the different things to work together, I think is super super cool. And it's outside of the labo, it's like they're trying to showcase different ways that we can use the Switch, and I think that's super super cool. I think that's one of the, and we did a discussion about this before, way in the past, about peripherals and how Nintendo is really really good at integrating peripherals into their platform. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'll probably even get the little stupid Pokemon ball to take that out on the road with me. So
fair enough.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I've been playing this week, just because of time constraints and stuff.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
Well, if you recall last week, I mentioned that Dauntless had just entered open beta. So I've been playing a decent amount of Dauntless this past week with a friend of mine, and we've gotten pretty decently far. It's Monster Hunter for the PC, but it's not Monster Hunter. This game is trying very hard to cash in on the people who want to play Monster Hunter on PC and don't really want to wait for it to come out yet. And it's free to play, and it uses a free to play model. So they're trying to get people. It's a cash grab. It is a hardcore cash grab that's kind of fun. I haven't personally felt the need to spend any money on it. I don't honestly think I'm going to stick around with this thing any longer than maybe another week, if that. Like, I'm already kind of feeling the don't really want to keep playing it sensation, So it's been one of those things, like, it was fun to try, but it's just not good. It's not bad, it's not good. Like, you go to maps, and there's only exactly one creature on the map, and that's the monster you're supposed to hunt. And like, the netcode is bad. Like, if you go into a hunt and somebody just leaves, they're just gone. It doesn't try to refill. There was one time where I had to hunt down this creature that was designed for 4 people with just me and one other guy, and like, we did it, but we real close to fucking died. I don't know. It's
that's fair.
If you're curious, give it a look. No harm, but I can't endorse it. I've been playing some Stardew Valley multiplayer, just, been keeping that trend going, playing with another friend. I got bored last night, and I installed American Truck Simulator, so I was playing that for a little bit. Don't really foresee playing that for long. It's one of those games that I just install and play every now and again for, like, a couple hours and then just turn it off. And then on stream, I was playing through Dark Souls Remastered, and off stream, because, of course. But I finished it up, and I moved on to Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. So going back, playing that one again. I really forgot a lot about Dark Souls 2, and it shows too.
There's just a lot of content.
You're cutting
to
out.
Remember it all is. Oh God, lean forward more. All right. So there's just a lot of content with the Dark Souls series, so to ask somebody to try to retain all that information is kind of on the ridiculous side.
Yeah, like, I've played the first Dark Souls enough times, read like 15 times completed, to just like know everything about that game. But two, I've got almost 300 hours in just on Scholar, and then I think 3 I might have the least time in, but I played enough of 2 that I really should remember. And my experience with 2 this time has been, I remember this, I remember that, I remember this, like, the entire way through. So it's been interesting. Like, it's sort of a hybrid of, it's old and yet new again, if that makes any kind of sense. Like, I still have that, like, oh yeah, this, or oh yeah, that. Like, it feels like you're discovering it, but really you already know what you're doing, so,
Okay.
Well, let's move on to our segment for gaming news. I feel like we have some interesting things to talk about. I'm sure you heard that State of Decay was released, and I had to reformat my computer in order to play the damn thing, and it was a huge pain in the ass to get going. And when I did, its netcode was bad, and there were bugs everywhere, and like you would rubber band behind people, and like multiplayer just doesn't work sometimes, and like cars will flicker in and out of existence, and like sometimes your attacks just won't affect zombie, like just a bunch of weird stupid shit that just shouldn't be in a released game.
Okay.
Well, they released a patch a couple days ago that is 20 gigs in size, which
At that point, is it like no longer a?
they're
like,
calling it the 1.2 patch. Now let me make this clear: the game came out a week ago. They're on 1.2. Yeah. Work has been done.
Yeah.
And I would love to try it with that, but I can't figure out how to download it. I have no idea. my friend, I don't know why I'm pointing over here. Like, look, my friend. My friend downloaded it, no problem. I don't know how he got it. Like, he just got it, and I don't. I just don't have it. It's just not a thing that I have. And I've searched through the store to find the thing, and I've looked at the game hub, and it's not in there. I don't know how to get it. So I was playing it a little bit today just to see if maybe it somehow snuck in there. Nope, still broken as hell. So I don't know how to get it. But hey, it fixes, or it's supposed to fix network problems, improve the stability, prevent out-of-memory crashes, and a bunch of bug fixes. Like it's supposed to fix the flickering cars, and it's supposed to fix the rubber banding, and it's supposed to fix the zombies not getting hit by your attacks, and all this stuff that's like huge problems. Like when you're driving around at night, there's this white line that's 1 pixel wide that's just constantly flickering across your screen, and it's super obnoxious. Apparently the patch fixes that too, but I wouldn't know because I can't get it. So let's move on.
Just delete it, reformat your hard drive, and install it again.
No, I don't care enough. So this one was kind of big news that I feel like really I didn't see mentioned anywhere, and I was very surprised to stumble upon it. Yesterday, Valve released a patch for Steam, and of course Steam updates every single day, so no one noticed that this happened. But they patched a bug that apparently allowed somebody to execute remote code on your computer through Steam and take over your computer. Like straight up, just they now had control as if it was, remote access to your computer. So That's fixed now, and apparently it's been there for like 11 years or some like obnoxiously long time that just nobody noticed it. And it's got like you think about stuff like that, it has to be legacy code. Like you gotta go back and look at your old code, right? Like, because apparently the bug wasn't difficult to fix. They were just like, oh shit, and they went and fixed it, right? But
right. It was one of those we never noticed that this was a thing until somebody was like, oh shit, this is a thing.
Yeah, and they were like, fix that right away.
Yeah, they immediately snapped their fingers and it's done.
Yeah. So at least they're pretty responsive about getting it handled. So as much as I like to shit on Valve, they do at least upkeep their software. Like the teams that have been focused on particular pieces of software have remained faithful and consistent in updating those pieces of software. So at least they're on it.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we had a trailer for this. We're going to skip it. A while back, you heard me talk about Fallout New Vegas and a mod coming out for it called New California, which is a really cool-looking mod. It's going to be a total game replacement. It replaces everything. It's got new assets, new models, new characters, 16,000 lines of voice dialogue, 12 endings, and they have finally set a release date for it. They did this 3 days ago on the anniversary of the inception of their project. The release date is October 23rd this year, so be looking out for it. I am definitely going to play it. It looks really cool. What are y'all about that?
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I'm gonna glance on the one that I mentioned before the stream, but it's not on the list.
Okay.
For people who don't know, the Fortnite has a giant booth at E3, which blows my mind because it's usually for developers and whatnot, and to have an individual game have a massive booth at E3 is pretty much unheard of. But in honor of that, they are going to do a celebrity pro-am event with 50 YouTube streamers and Twitch streamers and 50 celebrities. It's going to take place on Tuesday, June 12th, so a week after tomorrow, probably about at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Some of the full roster of everybody hasn't been revealed in full, but out of the announced people, you're going to have streamers like Ninja, Myth, Markiplier, Muselk, Lachlan. These are all big name guys on the YouTube scene. And for celebrities, you're going to have the DJs like Marshmello, the bass player from Fall Out Boy, Pete Wentz is going to be there. Demetrius Johnson, who is a boxer / UFC fighter / Twitch streamer. Rapper designer is going to be there. Pro wrestler Xavier Woods, who has a gaming YouTube channel. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Up, down, down. It's pretty solid. Comedian Ron Funches is going to be there. It's going to be an interesting tournament, and it's going to be cool to see how many of these celebrities actually know what they're doing and how many don't. But overall, all in all, last thing to say about it, winner of the competition is going to get $1 million to donate to the charity of their choosing. So that'll be super, super cool. And again, that's going to be next week at E3. That's going to be cool. And then other than that, was it Team Sonic Racing got a reveal trailer?
And a name.
It shows and a name. And it shows pretty much nothing but Sonic and Knuckles leaving a garage.
Yeah, it's like a 15-second trailer. It's just like a pan across two cars, like just not even the whole car, just like the hood of the car with a tire. And then it's like Sonic is in a blue car and Knuckles is in a red car, and then they drive out of a garage, and that's it. It's like, all right.
And they're slow playing it. You know, they just flashed the R in the last teaser, so it's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
But I know you've got probably a little bit more knowledge on this than I do. But what seems to be really interesting is Arc System Works, the developers of BlazBlue. They've laid out extremely strict and non-negotiable streaming guidelines for their new BlazBlue game. They're pretty much saying, like, don't stream it at all. Or if you have to stream it for some reason, there's like a very specific section that you can stream, and that's it. So
not exactly that.
Okay.
So, all right. So ASW, they make BlazBlue, which is a pretty popular fighting game on PC and consoles. And like, it's one of the more, like, as far as I know, I've never played it myself. It's one of the more kind of fluid fighting games. It's more colorful and bright, and but I don't know. A lot of people really like it. I've never talked to a person who's played it who hasn't liked it. But so their developer, Arc System Works, has released a set of very strict guidelines for how to stream this game. And so they gave a list of do's and do nots. And for the most, like, the do's, I don't care about the do's. All I really care about is the do nots, because they're, like, trying to control what people are allowed to stream. And you probably know that I am a really, really adamant... I don't know how to say non-fan. What's the opposite of fan? I hate censorship. I think it's, like, the worst thing. Don't try to take anybody's thought and shove it away. Don't do that. It's bad. So the one point that they listed in their do not was, and I quote, "Do not stream episode mode at all. Just don't. If you have to, very short clips of episode mode content up to chapter 2 are permitted for video content only. Any longer clips, spoilers, or anything else is a danger area, so really just avoid this altogether." End quote. And then later in that article, like directly below it, they go on to like give their reasoning behind it, but they do include this quote: "These rules are non-negotiable with the powers that be and will result in your channel being issued a content ID claim or worse, a channel strike or account suspension." End quote. So it sounds like ASW is trying really fucking hard to control what people are allowed to display content-wise with this game, and they're basically saying like, hey, any like story YouTube video or any like Twitch streamer streaming it or like anybody doing anything that isn't the multiplayer basically shouldn't do it. And I'm super not okay with that. And I got kind of angry and upset like I do with news like this when people start to try to censor things. And I started doing research, and what I already knew at the beginning, I just kind of reinforced with myself, is that this will absolutely not in any way stand up to fair use law in the United States. Like, it just won't stand.
Yeah.
But it does make me kind of pissed at ASW.
Yeah. I will say that this isn't the first time that this has happened. Though.
No.
I can think of two other examples of this almost exact same situation. One being Celeste with Matt Makes Games. When that game, before that game was released, Matt Makes Games released copies of this to the Twitch community, and he said, "Hey, here's a copy of the game for free. Please do me a favor. Don't show anything after level 2." And that was kind of the agreement of, like, I'll give you this game to stream on your channel before it's released, but just don't show or on YouTube, but just don't show anything after level 2. Because he didn't want, Matt Makes Games didn't want to ruin the story for everyone before the game was.
Yeah.
Another example of this would be Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, the game where you're in a pot and you have a hammer and you have to climb this mountain. When you get to the end of the game, you get a screen that says, "Hey," that pops up that says, "Hey, if you were streaming, please stop your stream. The ending of this game isn't meant for people who haven't completed the game." So those are two different examples that have come out in the last 6 months.
Sure.
Actually, Bennett Foddy
came out older than that, yeah. So but yeah. I understand what you're getting at here, yeah. And to be honest, at least in Decay, I don't know about putting a screen in the game saying, "Hey, please don't." But in the case of the Celeste situation, that sounds to me more like a polite request, kind of like a, "Hey, the game's not out. Please just do me a favor. Reserve a little bit of it." Like, that sounds like a polite request. Obviously, you're not going to have to go to that. What pisses me off about this is that they ASW are going to be actively issuing content ID claims, which interrupts people's lifestyle. That breaks your monetary income. I don't know if you know about how YouTube works really well, but if you make content on YouTube and you try to get paid for it, if anyone issues a content claim against you, all of the money you would make from that video is suspended and held by YouTube until that dispute is resolved. That's all ad revenue.
I know we've dealt with that already.
Yeah, we've actually been content claimed before for just like stupid. I mean, like, we're not really making money, but like, we've been hit with content claims. It's like weird as shit. Like, we played a trailer and we got content claimed for the soundtrack that was used in a trailer to advertise a game, which is like super fair use, right? But like the automatic content system on YouTube just picked it up and notified whoever, and then they content claimed us. I mean, I disputed it and it's been resolved. We're fine, but like, it's just a huge pain in the ass to get a claim like that. And the fact that they're saying they're going to be doing this and like attempting to put channel strikes and stuff on there, that's not okay. Like, don't do that shit. Like, it's already hard enough to publish content in this political environment. You're just making it harder. I'm just gonna be upset about that forever. So we can just move on from there. Because we're dealing with censorship, it kind of leads into this next section, which is great because I had no idea how to transition to this at all. So we could probably spend a while talking about this and just commenting on it, but we're gonna kind of not like super quick, but we're just gonna go through this. It's just something that I wanted to. I don't even know why I did. Like, I think 3 weeks ago, we put this on the planning document, like something we could talk about, and we decided we didn't want to talk about it then because we didn't have enough information and we wanted to do more research. And then so the following week we were ready to talk about it, and then you were out of town, you got called into work, I think, and so we brought in a guest and we didn't talk about it, we pushed it back. So this is a 3-week-old topic that we're just kind of go through, but we ended up doing a bunch of research about this. And I'm just gonna read my little intro paragraph here because I feel like it's the only easy way to get into it. Times are changing. Some people are looking for sexual games instead of porn. The market exists and it's small, but it's growing. Companies like Patreon, Twitch, and Valve have taken steps to discourage games like this from using their platform. And so what companies, if any, will decide to host them? And so, like I was mentioning before, this kind of really hits on that topic of censorship, where like I really don't like censorship of anything, and this is kind of the big easy thing to talk about. That's like, oh well, porn should be censored, and it's like, well, it's like you can't take the side of censorship and then not cover the whole bases. So I did a little section here, some research on the current state of the industry and like the three big, as far as I know, places that this kind of thing is had
Where it's
news
starting to
recently
make sense.
happen. Yeah, where it's been represented. So I mentioned Twitch, Valve, and Patreon. Twitch, they have covered this, I think, very well. Twitch has a section in their community guidelines that outlines what kind of content is available to be played. They have a list of games that are outright banned, and because that list is not comprehensive and cannot be, they have a guideline section that I feel is really, really well stated. And this is a direct quote from the official community guidelines for Twitch. Games featuring nudity, pornography, sex, or sexual violence as a core focus or feature, and gameplay modified to feature these elements are entirely prohibited. Occurrences of in-game nudity are permitted so long as you do not make them a primary focus of your content and only spend as much time as needed in the area to make progress. Games rated AO by the ASRB are not permitted in gameplay-oriented broadcasts or complete or unedited format on Twitch. So basically, Twitch is just trying to say, look, it's fine if there's nudity in a game and you're playing it. Like, otherwise, you wouldn't be able to play Witcher 3, or you wouldn't be able to play, I don't know, what, Mass Effect, or like any, I don't know exactly what other ones, but they're just trying to say, hey, basically, don't put porn on the site, right? Like, that's what they're trying to get at. They're trying to tailor their content, and they're trying to not be too restrictive. And
they're taking the same stance as Delta Airlines does for their entertainment system, where you can watch movies like in the headrest of the seat in front of you. They say, hey, like, some of this has nudity. It's going to be there. Other people other than you are going to be able to see it. But you know what? If it's within these guidelines, if it's not a focus, then we're going to allow it. Things that are rated above R aren't going to be available.
yeah.
So, watch at your own risk, and take it from there. I think that's the most fair out of everything, is saying, like, we discourage it and we don't allow this, but we're not going to say, hey, it's just a broad sweep of adult content is just gone.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like it's a good step forward from the traditional fear of the female nipple that American censorship has had for such a long time. Like, making a distinction between, hey, this is a natural thing, and okay, this is clearly erotic content. Like, I understand. Like, Twitch is trying to say, look, we're not an erotic platform, don't put this here, but like, we're not going to shy away from something just because it's there, So it's very fair, I feel.
Now, Valve, on the other hand, is kind of taking a different stance on
Yeah, Valve has been kind of weird about this, and honestly, I don't know if it's all publicity or if it's something else. We'll just tell you what happened. So recently, and at this point, I think it was like a month and change ago, Valve contacted several developers and informed them that their game would be removed from Steam if they did not patch to censor some content. So these three games were Kindred Spirits, Mutiny, and Honey Pop. The developers for those were Manga Gamer, Loopysoft, and Honey Pot, respectively. So I guess Valve contacted them and said, like, hey, you got to censor the nudity in these games or else you're going to be removed. And if Valve was trying to take a specific stance on this type of content on their platform, I don't think they did a good job, because some developers, which have games on Steam, what the heck, Eek, I think is the name of the company, EEK exclamation mark, have a game called House Party, and that game has made a couple of rounds on YouTube and that kind of thing, and it has been it's banned on Twitch. It's on the list. And that game, its core focus is getting to sleep with women. That's just what it is, and it's in the context of a house party. And those developers got no notification whatsoever. They heard nothing about it.
Right.
But on May 18th, which was like a week after it happened or so, Valve contacted at least all three of those companies that we mentioned before, and they have asked them to disregard the notifications they received, and told them they are re-reviewing the games. So I don't know if it was a legitimate mistake by Valve on contacting them, or if it was a publicity stunt because maybe somebody found out about it and they're like, "This is such a terrible thing. You're corrupting the youth," or whatever they were doing. But Valve seems to have backpedaled on what they were doing. As to their intent, I really can't say, but I thought it was interesting that this kind of all happened. And then finally, I guess Patreon is a popular place to get games like this. And in response to some of the stuff that has been going on that site, Patreon recently enacted new guidelines governing the content of creators on Patreon. The guidelines forced creators to censor their pages or be removed from Patreon. So specifically, any nudity at all is no longer allowed on a public Patreon page. It must be behind a paid post. So you have to pay and support that creator in order to access any of their erotic content. Whether it's just a single nipple or whether it's hardcore, all of it is now behind that. And there are some things.
I don't think that's unreasonable to do that as well, because I think that prevents. I think what the stance of what they're saying is like, we're okay with having this on the site, but we don't want it to be easily identifiable from people who are just wandering the site. Mm-hmm. They don't, because there's no way like how Reddit has like a not safe for work tag. I don't think Patreon has anything like that available currently. Yeah. So they're just kind of taking it on the sense of, we want to make sure that our site is safe to look at across the board, whether your content that you want to sell is erotica or not. But you're allowed to have it as long as people are paying to support your stuff, which I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that's for what Patreon is trying to accomplish as a company and as a website. I think that's almost along the same lines of how Twitch is kind of taking their stance.
Okay. So another part to this that I think shows a little bit more, I think it lends to my belief that there's a lack of policy in Patreon, and that it's just some people trying to figure out what they want on their site and just trying to enact it.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
Patreon has also banned certain content from their site entirely, and like the obvious stuff is obviously banned, like nothing illegal, right? But
right.
Even if it's behind a paywall, things like incest or bestiality or any of those like kind of further out there kinks are not okay on Patreon at all, even behind paid content. So one of the things that I was reading up on was that content creators had to change the content of their games, and specifically like go through and like Control F and replace all occurrences of something with another, but had to substantially change what they were making in order to remain allowed to stay on Patreon. Yeah. And so there were quite a few, comparatively, quite a few creators just removed from the site, and they just won't be, back there, which I feel is a little bit hardcore on the censorship coming out of that. I'm not a huge fan of that. And I'm not here to kink shame anyone or to make judgments upon anything. No. But I feel like any time that you limit someone's creative output, and especially if there's not needing especially but even so, like there's a market for it on Patreon, because this obviously wouldn't have made the news if nobody was interested in it, right? So, just kind of picking on that kind of content, I think it's a little much on the censorship. Not a huge fan of them for doing that. I don't think that Patreon is a bad platform. I like I said, I think it's people trying to figure out what they want and not having real policy about it. So hopefully this kind of thing gets resolved. I don't.
It's going to take some time. It's going to be trial. And as they do, there will be backlash from their communities. And eventually they'll get it figured out. They'll figure out a good equal medium, I think, for how to keep everybody happy. and to keep people who don't want to see that kind of content, to prevent them from seeing it, and then the people who do want to see that kind of content, they will be able to find it. Right. But it'll just take time to get to that point. But currently, there are digital distributors that are willing to sell this kind of content. I know that Valve is still currently allowing games of a sexual nature to exist.
Yep.
And I know Green Man Gaming or GOG, actually
yeah.
not Green Man Gaming, yeah, but GOG sells a couple.
Very few.
During
like GOG added a few of them. I want maybe like a year and change ago or something. I'm not really sure. I think they added like 3 or 4 games to like test the waters, and then like just never added anymore. I guess there just wasn't enough interest, but they do have a couple of them.
Yeah,
and then there were like a couple of
in our research. We found a couple other sites like Kimochi Red Light, which is kind of like a Patreon. But they're owned by Nutaku, which I think is like the big one. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Nutaku I guess has 9 million users as of July 2017. So fair, there's market share there. And I guess they started Kimochi Red Light, which is like a Patreon type thing, but specifically for this content. Yeah. And then I guess there's DL Site, which is it's an Asian site that sells this kind of thing. So I mean, like there are places that still host this. It's they're just kind of smaller. I think as this type of game pushes to get into larger markets, they're going to experience this kind of resistance, which I mean, it's not unexpected. It is what it is. In terms of like,
here's the deal: there's a community out there that wants this stuff. Yeah. And as long as there's a community out there that wants this stuff, there are going to be places that you can go to access this stuff. And if the big name distributors aren't going to be willing to do it, some other distributor is going to step up and become a big name distributor for this kind of content. Yeah. Because like you said, there's that one site alone just has 9 million users over the course of a year. So.
This is just kind of an off thought that I just popped into my head here. Did you hear that Pornhub is launching a VPN service?
Yes, I did hear about that.
It would be
actually, and the funny thing about this is because I work in the AV industry, and I do a lot of video, and there is a certain there is a piece of me on the inside that giggles hysterically that the forefront of technology in the video market over the last, I want to say 10 to 15 years has been driven by the porn industry. DVD sales, what VR porn, like who's really using VR to their fullest potential right now, but VR porn, everyone else is just trying to catch up right now. Like just the cameras that they use, the porn industry is one of the largest industries in the United States and in the world. So, they need the technology and they've been pushing. So I'm not surprised in the slightest that Pornhub is going the route of maybe offering a VPN, or a lot of them are making like Netflix style services where you pay $9.99 a month or whatever.
Provide content, yeah. So my just kind of offshot thought was it would be interesting and possibly a good move if Pornhub started providing a location to host that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if it would work or how or whatever, but I just an offshoot thought.
I've also heard stories about Pornhub launching a YouTube competitor because they've already got the structure for it.
Oh yeah, in terms of the framework behind it, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the last thing I wanted to just touch on, like all gaming stuff, the adult game industry does have news, reviews, and trailers and all that jazz. And so I guess those exist on certain YouTube channels. There are multiple subreddits for it, and on privately run blogs and small websites and that kind of thing. So just places that
I guess
the kind of thing you would seek out if you were looking for it.
I think that's a good state of the union on adult gaming.
Yeah, sure.
I think we've pretty much covered everything, kind of revolving around what's going on in that industry right now.
State of the unions.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to end on that topic tonight. And
No, let's get off of that.
Hey, phrasing.
Are we still not doing phrasing, guys? Seriously. Oh man.
But,
so let's
here's
do it.
Here's a little topic that we kind of threw in there towards, as a bailout if we ever needed one.
Yeah.
What are some of the games that you liked personally, but were not critically acclaimed in the slightest?
Oh.
AKA games that were trash. Absolute garbage, but for some reason just resonate with you to this day.
Man, okay, so some of the worst games I recall playing, I'm sorry Sega, are Sonic games. But I also really liked some Sonic games. And I know you and I had a discussion about this a while ago. Sonic R came out in 1997. I think you played it on the Dreamcast?
Yeah, I played it on the Dreamcast.
Is that right? I had it on the PC, and my goodness, that game was absolute garbage, but it was fun to play. Yeah, like you could play as there was Amy and Tails and Knuckles and Sonic, and Robotnik drove around in his little egg machine, and was it Big had a car, and it was terrible. The maps were all characters controlled exactly the same, and it was the slowest I've ever gone in a Sonic game. And you would think that in a racing game, you would go. It was such a slow-paced game, and they had this music that was unbelievably.
The music was fantastic. The music is legendary. I don't care what anyone says. I do think it's hilarious that it was a very slow game for a Sonic game, where it's the concept of Sonic is got to go fast.
Yeah, a Sonic racing game. Sonic on his own is fast, and racing is fast. You put them together, what do you get?
It should be
15,
super
20
fast,
miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
Just not there. Oh, man. All right, you go. Pick one. Go ahead.
All right. So pretty much about 90% of the original NES games are pretty garbage.
Okay.
But for some reason, that stuck a home for me. My favorite out of the group would be a game called MC Kids, which was made by I think it was Virgin. It was a McDonald's video game. You went to McDonald Land. You were a kid, and you had to rescue Ronald McDonald's magic bag from the Hamburglar.
Oh no!
In order to do this, you had to collect. I think it was puzzle cards or puzzle pieces or something. So it was 7 levels, and you just kind of have to go through. It was a platformer, but it was it was such a terrible game. It controlled really, really bad. Imagine the controls of Mega Man 2.
Sure.
But not the enjoyable game, not an enjoyable story or interesting, anything other than that. So it just controlled like garbage, and it was a cash grab from McDonald's to try to make a video game. I don't remember where I got it, but I know I had it and I played it a lot.
Well, on the bright side, McDonald's did manage to grab your parents' cash. So
they did. That was, and you know what? Back in the day, that Nintendo game was a $50 cartridge.
Holy shit, dude! What?
Yeah, Nintendo games back in the day were $60, $50-$60 when you bought them from like Toys R Us or KB Toys. Now they're probably not worth as much, but back in when games were released for Nintendo, the price of games has not really changed overall over the years.
Yeah. Well, I remember handhelds used to be $25, $30, I guess.
25, 30. I mean,
yeah, those were the ones that were it was a single game in a handheld though, like the Telco kind of games,
Yeah, actually, right here, an NES game in 1990 cost on average about $50.
Jeez.
You can translate it to 2013. That's about $89 a game.
Yeah, we're getting cheaper.
We're actually per capita paying less for games that are way more graphically intensive.
That's interesting.
And I guess that's why the industry is doing so bad right now.
Man, dude. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park. Yeah. So there was a game that came out quite a few years ago called Jurassic Park Trespasser. I want to say it only came out on the PC, but it might have been on the PlayStation. I think it was just PC. Um, but it was this game where you were a woman who was stuck on Isla Sorna, and
Okay.
you had to escape. And the gimmick behind this game was that it was the first time, to my knowledge, anyone was trying to introduce a mechanic of manually interacting with your environment. And so the entire game, you had your right hand out, and it was like an open hand, and you could choose to close and open the hand. And you could like aim your hand or camera or whatever you're doing, and so you could like pick up a wrench and like rotate it, but you could like rotate it 360 degrees around constantly. And like graphically it was okay, but like gameplay it really wasn't that good because the controls just like did not lend itself to, like, it wasn't an action game and it wasn't quite an adventure game because they needed you to defend yourself. And like there was a gun, but it wasn't very good, and like you couldn't really defend yourself from raptors with a wrench or like, anything else. And a lot of it was like pick up a card, rotate it the right way, put it into a thing, a lot of that stuff. So it was one of those like kind of experiments into, could this type of mechanic make for an interesting game? And it definitely didn't, but I just really loved it because it was Jurassic Park and I got a chance to run away from raptors. So
There you go.
that was what it was about.
Yeah. All right. I think I think I pretty much hit it on the head with pretty much 90% of the NES games
Okay.
that came out.
All right.
Were kind of garbage for me. But yeah, so I guess on that note, we should probably start wrapping up here.
All right.
It was a good, yeah,
Sure.
it was a good episode today.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We ran a little bit longer than normal. So
That's okay.
It's always a good time. Yeah.
Good things to talk
yeah,
about.
I mean, thank you so much, everybody that stopped in today. Feel free, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 2dudes1up. Discord link is right there on the screen. Follow us on the Discord
down
channel
below
for some
the
additional
channel.
content.
Yep.
You can follow this guy. I don't know how this is going to work.
Me.
I'm doing my finger the right way. I
Yeah,
can't.
so you're in the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow that guy at Average Goatee,
Yep.
and you can follow me at Stunt Mustard on Twitch. And just want to say thank you again one last time, and have a great week, and happy gaming.
Catch you guys later.